عن إنترنت الأشياء انسوا الضجيج وركز أو انسى الضجيج وركز على ما يعنيه لمؤسستك، فليتفضل. Please.
Okay, great. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Riku Valpas, and I'm the Senior Manager for Pre-Sales Engineers in Fortinet. Can you hear me well? Good, good. So, Fortinet is one of the leading IT security or cybersecurity and networking companies in the world at the moment. We are based here also in Saudi. We have roughly 30 team members in Saudi at the moment, mainly in Riyadh, but also in East Coast and Jeddah area. Today, I will talk a little bit about IoT and what it means when it comes to security and cybersecurity. First, of course, as usual, we go a little bit into trends and statistics. I think many of you by now you already know what IoT means. Basically, Internet of Things, and it basically means any kind of devices connected to TCP/IP networks or other, let's say, internet type networks and connected to the internet eventually. The challenge when it comes to IoT is that many of these devices have been built or designed a particular purpose in mind, but security has usually been an afterthought or hasn't really been taken into consideration at all. So devices might not even have any kind of a capability to add any security functions to it. The code might be vulnerable to various cybersecurity vulnerabilities and issues. Here on this slide, we just show some of the incidents that has happened especially in what we call industrial IoT or OT networks. And the incidents, they basically keep on rising year after year. When we talk to different companies, businesses, business owners and managers, and ask them about IoT, what are the main challenges? Number one, usually always is cybersecurity. And that basically tells how much we need to work on it, how much cybersecurity has been really taken into consideration when IoT solutions are being designed and deployed. Seem to have a little bit of technical challenge. Not moving onwards. Okay. Let me go back a little bit. It seems to be okay. Good. Now working again. Okay. So when we look at it, how users and let's say companies look at the challenges in IoT, they are basically numerous. We have roughly 90% of businesses and consumers, they are worried about IoT security. We have roughly half of the businesses are IoT users are basically not knowledgeable about the device security. We have 65% of users concerned about hacking. 57% of businesses, they don't use any kind of security or encryption on the data that they store from IoT devices. 61% of businesses think that there should be some sort of regulation on IoT security, basically for different phases of and different areas of IoT. It should be regulated how security is handled on IoT platforms. Only 33% of users and businesses think that they have complete control over the security on IoT platforms. And this shows basically the challenge on IoT. It's heavily used nowadays, but there's still a lot of concerns when it comes to security, data privacy, of the solutions. When we look at IoT vendors and organizations that build IoT solutions, we see that only 50% really take security into consideration when they're building the solutions. There's 42% that strive towards taking security into consideration, but that usually means that they're lacking in it and they haven't really done it, but they would like to do it. There are even organizations that don't even plan to take it into consideration while designing and building IoT solutions. So it's clearly we have still something to do on this front. So what are the IoT drivers? One of the most important driver for IoT at the moment is mobile connectivity. So mobile connectivity has become much cheaper than before. It's available on multiple platforms, multiple ways of connecting to the internet nowadays. We have real-time analytics and telemetry. One of the important factors, basically collecting information from various sources and making real-time decisions for industrial applications, for commercial applications, for example, tracking maybe consumers and doing targeted advertising for them and so forth. Machine learning is another area of IoT. And machine learning is heavily used for decision support in different kind of business operations. And then, of course, a very important thing is that different kind of IoT devices and sensors, tracking devices, they become a commodity. They are far cheaper than before. It's easy to build them in and use them in masses. Also, embedded systems have become much cheaper, much easier to use, much more common. And if you look at it, the number now, what Gartner believes, there's going to be roughly 20 billion IoT devices by the end of this year. It's a very big increase from just a few years ago when we had roughly 1/3 of the the amount. And the explosion is continuing. It seems I'm running out of battery on the clicker. Okay, moving on. So why to use IoT? What's the benefit out of it? Well, the benefits are numerous. Efficiency, of course, is a big driver, especially in businesses. We're gaining, excellent, thank you very much. Businesses gain efficiency, better efficiency using IoT solutions, different kind of IoT solutions. Improved customer experience, collaboration benefits, agility. Cost, of course, is very important. Reduced cost, customer satisfaction as well. Very important thing to a lot of businesses is time to market. When you can get your product to the market faster than competition, it gives you a big edge. Employee engagement enhancements, of course, and overall improved competitiveness. Only 1% believes that there's no benefit. Some use cases for IoT. Energy sector is of course one of the major players in IoT. There's a lot of happening on this front in Saudi, for example, where smart meters are getting implemented. We have production and distribution telemetry collected, different kind of smart appliances, smart grids. Government, of course, uses IoT solutions for different kind of emergency management, smart cities, smart devices, optimizing public transportation, tracking people. I just heard about one application where prisoners get tracked in prisons, for example. Healthcare, of course, is on the forefront of IoT use. Different kind of tracking of medical devices, monitoring, remote care, alerts, different kind of medical variables, like, for example, heartbeat monitors, health monitors for older people, panic buttons, emergency buttons on watches and so forth. Manufacturing also uses IoT for many things. Of course, tracking of assets using, for example, RFID, supply chain optimization, logistics, fleet management is one good example where you can track your fleet of cars, trucks, optimize their use, optimize their let's say fuel consumption and so forth. Oil and gas sector uses IoT in many places, for many users, from oil extraction to different kind of environmental telemetry, automation on the, let's say, the production automation and health and safety. Retail is a heavy user as well. Good example is tracking users based on their cell phones and for example, making targeted advertisement campaigns for retail customers. So let's look at the IoT ecosystem a bit. So of course we have the device domain. So these are the different actual IoT devices, from smartphones to TVs to cameras, physical security cameras, different kind of wearable items and so forth. Then we have the network domain. So of course smart devices, IoT devices, they need to connect to the internet somehow. That happens through the network domain. Then we have the service domain, which typically is the IoT cloud platform. Different kind of IoT cloud platforms. And last, the application domain, the actual IoT applications. So if you look at the security on IoT, some of the key foundations are of course the security of the assets themselves and different kind of threats to the assets, and of course then how to access these different systems securely. Trust is very important. So IoT users, they need to have trust to the ecosystem, to the different partners, suppliers of IoT systems. And then of course one of the main concerns in use of internet systems in generally, but especially IoT is data privacy. So confidentiality, data confidentiality, and who has access to the data. So how do these map to the IoT ecosystem? So if you look at the device domain, one of the main concerns are, for example, taking control of different kind of devices. It's especially big concern for things like home security systems, where you might have cameras at home, and you definitely don't want cameras to be taken over by malicious attackers or malicious entities. And of course, data manipulation is one of the big concerns as well on the device level. On the network level, problems are such as data leaks. You might have different kind of DOS attacks on the network domain, signaling storms, and so forth. On the service domain, on the cloud platform, and this of course something that we already seen before, there are concerns such as mass manipulation of the data. On the cloud platform, a large amount of data is accessible from one location. So in case of different kind of security related problems on the weaknesses on the cloud platform, it's quite easy to manipulate them in a massive manner. And of course also malware is a problem. So you can easily infect a lot of users, a lot of customers if malware gets into the cloud platform. And on the application domain, of course, the traditional web application attacks are a concern. So, IoT devices are, like I said before, they're quite difficult to secure because many of them are headless. There's nothing that you can really add on the device. They don't have any security controls necessarily. And therefore you have to take care of the security some other way. So most likely if you have a problem on an IoT platform, it's a device domain that gets attacked. We've seen that many times before, from business applications to home applications, and it's very difficult to protect the actual devices. So it has to start somewhere else. So in IoT, securing the network the service and application domains are really critical. There's often no other options. So these are the components that you have to secure. So let's look at a little bit of IoT solution in enterprise side. Fortinet is a big advocate of a concept called security fabric. And the idea of the security fabric is to integrate different security solutions to provide different kind of information, starting from threat information to connected client information, network topology information, configuration information, and so forth. Idea is that network security devices share information. And the three big keywords when it comes to the security fabric is learn, segment, protect. We go a little bit more into that in the next few slides. So when we look at the typical enterprise, the kind of assets they have, of course, are the critical business applications, business assets. Then we have managed assets typically, such as network devices, routers, security devices. We have the actual users, so the managed IoT part, the managed, let's say, traditional devices on the network. These could be laptops, endpoints, desktops, and so forth. Then we typically have the tolerated devices. These are usually, in most cases, these are different kind of BYOD devices, users' own laptops, users' phones, tablets, and so forth. And then we have the devices that we really don't want in the network, which are the rogue IoT or rogue devices. So going a little bit into the three keywords. In order to protect the assets, you need to know what you have. And you need to learn your assets, what you have on your network. And this is one of the key functions on the fabric concept. You need to have visibility. And you get visibility by learning what's on your network and comparing what you learn on the network to different kind of asset databases, whether it's SIEM, device databases, external asset databases. Once you learn, you can create profiles, modify, delete profiles in real time in order to secure these assets. Segment. This is very, very important. We see this all the time, especially in enterprise networks, that they secure pretty well the perimeter of the network, so basically the internet access part of the network. Data centers might get secured pretty well, but the internal network, otherwise from security point of view, is essentially flat. And this allows threats, malware, worms to propagate throughout the network. So in order to prevent this, you need to segment it, not just network level segmentation, but security level segmentation. So idea is that you don't trust anybody, you scan everything, you make sure that different devices are not able to access each other without let's say, authorization, and you restrict basically all kinds of communication to the bare minimum trusted or allowed communication. Okay. And of course, the third one is the protect part. So that's of course in many ways the most important one. The goal is to protect, and this happens with different kind of security solutions on the network, possibly on the endpoints if possible. Often in IoT, as discussed before, it's not possible. It happens with different kind of network access control solutions, firewalls, and so forth. So we can do various level of actions to basically protect the users, from intrusion prevention systems to anti-malware controls, different kind of let's say URL level controls, botnet protection solutions, application controls, so allowing only certain applications to pass. And this can be done based on time, position, type of communication. It's usually, let's say, done, most critical parts are usually different kind of network, next generation firewalls on the network. But there are various other kind of devices that can help securing the IoT assets. So how about industrial IoT? Connected industry. Okay, so when we talk about industrial internet, we often talk about operational technology, a term called operational technology. We often call about IT. And at the end of the day, it's all about IoT. They fall under the same IoT class. So what is operational technology? There are various definitions for that, but without going into details, it's about controlling, manipulating, monitoring of, you could say, physical things and processes, industrial processes. These could be things like valves, pipelines, pumps, and so forth, in different kind of chemical plants, for example, or manufacturing plants, or oil and gas industry. So it's basically, you could say, the industrial IT and control of the industrial processes and actual physical systems on the industrial process systems. So what is it used for? Many things on the industrial side, but typically to monitor the industrial operations, to control them, and to operate them, and of course to automate the industrial operations. And it's used in various areas, such as utilities. You might have water plants, sewage treatment plants, freshwater plants, electricity grids, oil and gas operations, drilling, extracting operations, petrochemical plants, maybe car manufacturing plants, different kind of manufacturing operations, and of course energy production as well, or electricity production. Just some examples of where OT is used. It's typically critical infrastructure, one way or another. And with critical, I mean it's critical for the smooth operation of our societies. And one important factor of operational technology is that the environmental conditions are varied. You might have normal office environments, but more often you have harsh environments where you have extreme heats or extreme cold, moisture, vibration, and so forth. So when we talk about OT and IT, IT we all know it's a traditional information technology that we are very much aware of. You know, we have data centers in our offices, and we have our laptops and desktops and so forth. And when it comes to security in IT, things like confidentiality and integrity are very important. But when we talk to the OT guys about security, their main concerns are things like health and safety and availability of the OT platform or manufacturing plants. So IT and OT people look at things from very, very different point of view. And why do we actually talk about OT and security? Well, in the past, OT was typically totally separate from IT. It was using communication protocols that were proprietary. They were not common off-the-shelf IP protocols. And OT was air-gapped. It was totally separate from IT. So it was very difficult to really hack it anywhere. It wasn't really as exposed to vulnerabilities and threats. Nowadays, with the digital transformation that has been going on for the past 20 years, and it's just accelerating at the moment, OT is more and more connected to different kind of business systems on the IT side. So the air gap is maybe not as tight as it used to be anymore. And OT is heavily moving into IP technologies, so internet technologies. So these are commonly available, very well-known systems with relatively well-known vulnerabilities as well. So all of a sudden, OT became much more vulnerable to different kind of cyber threats. And that's the reason why there's so much focus on OT at the moment when it comes to cybersecurity. Just one example. This is already this is over 10 years old incident, but it's a good example why cybersecurity is so important. So this is basically a hydroelectric power plant. I actually don't remember now which country it is, but it's one of the ex-Soviet Union countries. And it's actually believed to be attacked by cyber criminals in 2009. So basically what happened is that one of the generators or the turbines, the operating RPM count was, or the revolution count was increased to a level that it couldn't handle. And we are talking of generators that weigh tens of thousands of tons, and they spin at very, very, very fast speed. So they have a lot of energy stored in them. And when one of these units gets seated off its platform, it can do a lot of damage, as you can see from the second picture. So the outcome of this incident was unfortunately 75 casualties, damages of over $400 million. The cost of reconstruction was $1.5 million and took 2 years' time. Just one of the examples why cybersecurity is so important in IoT and critical infrastructure. Okay, let's move to different area, smart buildings. So smart buildings is one of the very common area where IoT is being deployed at the moment. it varies a little bit whether we're talking about commercial buildings, or if you're talking about apartment buildings, or just regular houses or villas. When we talk about, let's say, actual like buildings, not really like residential buildings, but office buildings or industrial buildings, the focus really is on energy utilization or energy usage optimization. So heat, electricity, power, and so forth. When it comes to apartment buildings, we see a little bit different kind of focus. We see things like lighting or maybe water consumption related applications when it comes to IoT. And lift maintenance and so forth. Maybe security related IoT implementations like physical security, monitoring cameras and so forth, or access control for different apartments, and of course different other amenity management systems. And again, this is area where Fortinet can help with different kind of solutions, from next generation firewalls to secure network switches, secure wireless, different kind of access control systems, and also physical security systems that we have. Just some typical use cases when it comes to building IoT. One very typical is smart meters, and it's a very typical example of a IoT device that is usually vulnerable. The lifespan of these devices is long. They usually, once they get installed, they might sit there for 20 years, in some cases longer. No updates done to those, and might contain various different kind of vulnerabilities. Again, they're very simple. They have limited capacity for additional functions. You can't really add security on those usually.
Excuse me. We have 2 minutes.
Almost done. Yeah. Again, smart homes, good example. This is something that I'm particularly fond of. I've personally done a lot of IoT systems for my home, from lighting to security, controlling my lawn mowers. Controlling my TVs, and this again is a very challenging area, because regular home users, they're not really cybersecurity experts, and many of these devices have really no security built in and have a lot of known vulnerabilities. And there's always, of course, also the possibility of misconfiguration. And we've seen a lot of cases, for example, where cameras at home have been compromised, different kind of smart devices been sending information out that they were not supposed to send. For example, different kind of cloud automation platforms. So how to secure them? We mentioned it already a few times. what Fortinet really focuses on is the security fabric. So the idea is to integrate different security solutions, network solutions, to provide threat information, configuration information, connected client information to all connected devices. So that you have proper holistic view of what's going on. You're not anymore fighting on a single point. You are trying to get a holistic view of what's happening in your environment, and also tackling or tackling the possible security threats in a holistic way. There are a few key words again. Broad. So it's very important that you have broad visibility. And some of the important things are that you are able to connect different devices together and provide this information. And this, of course, requires different kind of APIs. So Fortinet, of course, talks to Fortinet devices, but we have an open API. We allow other vendors to communicate and communicate as well with the security fabric. And again, not all world is Fortinet, so other vendors, they also provide APIs, and we connect to other vendor APIs as well. So idea is to have really broad visibility. Integration, very important, and automation. So quite often threats are detected, but nothing is done to them.
Thank you.
So automation makes it sub-second. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Fahad Al-Girni to honor the speaker.
I think there's one question.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
I'll come to you.
He will come to you.
Thank you very much.
Engineer Fahad, can you please give me the mic? Go to the stage, please. On the stage. Thank you, Engineer Fahad. Thank you for the speaker as well. We will take a break for about until 1 p.m. Then we will resume, God willing, the program. الترجمة متوفرة لمن يرغب في أجهزة الترجمة هنا. بعد إن شاء الله في الساعة 1 سنعود مرة أخرى لاستئناف برامج هذا المؤتمر. والآن وقت صلاة، ولمن يرغب تناول طعام الغداء موجودة مطاعم في داخل المركز. نراكم بإذن الله 1 ظهرا.
Link Shadow provides unparalleled detection. Link Shadow's cybersecurity analytics platform designed to manage threat
لا.
المسرحي اسأل قدام القاعة المدرجة المسرح قاعة المؤتمرات الرئيسية أي واحد أو دق على جعفر موجود يقول يعني جعفر موجود مع الناس.
يعني انتوا بتكتبوها بالعربي اخر شيء؟
as you wish.
انا ما عندي مشكله، بقدر اعطيها بالعربي عشان توفر على المترجم.
والله معظم الحضور اكون معك صادق عرب، فالافضل انك تتكلم بالعربي. هذا ذاتس ماي بوينت اوف فيو.
افضل بالعربي؟
خلاص في ترانزليشن بس انا ما اشوف اي لان سبيك
بيان الحضور يعني. بس كيف علمني على وينها البرزنتيشن؟ هناك بس هيك سلايد.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، مرحبا بكم مرة أخرى. سيكون معنا الآن المهندس علي طي وهو من شركة باراكودا، فليتفضل مشكور.
So hello everyone. Obviously not a lot of attendees. Everyone is afraid of Corona. So thanks for the organizers for allowing us this opportunity. We are glad to be here, and I'm glad to be presenting this for you. Barracuda Networks, if you don't know us, we are an American company. عم يطلبوا مني نقلب للغة العربية، في مشكلة؟ شركة باراكودا شركة أمريكية متخصصة في أمن المعلومات سايبر سيكيورتي. نحن بنقدم solutions and we are leaders بحلول أمن الإيميلز، أمن المراسلات بالعربي، أمن التطبيقات، الجدار الناري الفايروول، وحفظ البيانات باك اب. ليه شاركنا نحن بالكونفرنس IoT Internet of Things؟ Internet of Things is the new trend، هي التكنولوجي المستقبل مع الديجيتال وورد، تطبيقات، بيج داتا، كل هالامور انترنت اوف ثينجز صارت ضروره. خلينا نبلش نقول شو الحاجات الاساسيه لحتى تقدم سوليوشن فور انترنت اوف ثينجز، لانترنت الاشياء. اول شيء كونكتيفيتي، بدك توصل القطعه اللي عندك وات ايفر كانت، ماشين، كاميرا، ATM، وات ايفر، صراف، توصلها بالانترنت. فيو نيد كونكتيفيتي. ثاني ريكوايرمنت سكيورتي، لازم تأمن الداتا اد ترانزيت هي وطالعه للانترنت او الكلاود او الداتا سنتر اللي عندك، ولازم تأمن القطعه اللي عطيها انترنت whether it is ATM او اي شيء اخر. ثالث ريكوايرمنت هي يكون عندك efficient SD-WAN solution. ليش؟ لأنه إنترنت الأشياء ممكن تكون بمناطق نائية، بمصنع، بأمكنة ما فيك توصلها خط MPLS مثلا، ممكن تكون طالعة عبر connection 4G أو whatever. لذلك بدك efficient SD-WAN solution to provide availability، ولحتى تعمل compression وكاشينج وكل هالامور، حتى ما تكون الانترنت ريكوايرمنت او الوان ريكوايرمنت لهذه الاشياء متطلبه كثيرا او كوستلي. باراكودا بلشت بالانترنت اوف ثينجز before anyone else. فعليا نحن بنينا الفايرول تبعنا، الجدار الناري، بنيناه بناء على طلب من بنك. كان في بنك بألمانيا رأى انه من المناسب يوصل الاي تي امات اللي عنده صراف بالداتا سنتر عنده منذ البدايه، قبل ما صارت هذا موضوع دارج وموجود بكل البنوك. فطلب من باراكودا حل لهذا الموضوع، وقدمنا له هذا الحل، بنينا الفايرول وأمنا له هذه الكونكتيفيتي. فالفايرول عندنا مبني للإنترنت أوف ثينجز. هذه كانت مقدمة سريعة، واعذروني على اللخبطة باللغة العربية لأنا معود أعطيها بالإنجليش. طيب، الإنترنت أوف أشياء ممكن تكون للأمور الصناعية Industrial Internet of Things و Industrial Control Systems. Control Systems to control systems بالمصانع مثلا أو أي مكان آخر. مفترض تكون الصورة بشكل آخر. أوكي. فإذا عندنا الانترنت اوف ثينج جلوبالي، عندنا الاندستريال انترنت اوف ثينج هي بارت من الانترنت اوف ثينجز، وعندنا الاندستريال كنترول سيستمز هي بارت من الاندستريال انترنت اوف ثينجز. industrial machine, this arm, ATM, كاميرا أو سيستم عم تعطيه انترنت. طيب، لحتى تأمن connectivity للأشياء Internet of Things، أولاً عندك الديفايسز اللي أنت بدك تعطيهم انترنت. ممكن تكون كاميرا على الطريق على الشارع، بيك اب رومينج، صراف، كاشير ماشين، وات ايفر. بحاجة انك توصلها على فايرول او كونكتور صغير ليأمن لك الادج كومبيوتينج، ليأمن لك حجب وشيلدينج، حماية، authentication، security، وزيرو تاتش ديبلويمنت. زيرو تاتش ديبلويمنت اللي ما بيعرف هو انك انت تروح توصل القطعة بدون تدخل من الاي تي. زيرو تاتش يعني بس تاخذ الديفايس بتحطها automatically it connects itself to the internet لعندك على السيستم لعندك up and running بدون تدخل من اي شخص. فزيرو تاتش. الكونكتورز عادة بيكونوا بالالاف او بالمئات او وات ايفر. عذرا. تمام. اوكي. الكونكتورز كلهم بيتجمعوا هاب كونكتنج كل الكونكتورز. ممكن يوصلك على الانترنت، ممكن انت تكون الكنترول سيستم تبعك على الكلاود، او ممكن يكون بالداتا سنتر عندك. هيدي صورة للكونكتور، ممكن يكون very small مثل ما شايفين 4 inches للماشينز الصغيرة، وممكن يكون أكبر بعدد بورتات أكثر، بنسميه secure connector. بيعطيك connection through 3G 4G LTE، كمان ممكن يعمل لك واي فاي. دوره انه يعمل لك شيلدينج، يكون تامبر بروف لانه مش بمكان مقفل ممكن حدا يتلاعب فيه، يعمل لك secure communication. الكنترول سيستم ممكن يكون بالكلاود وممكن يكون في ام عندك بالداتا سنتر. edge computing في حال انت عندك ديفايس ما بدك انك تحط سيرفر لكل ديفايس، فممكن نحن نأمن لك على الفايرول عندنا نوع من سيرفر صغير يأمن لك الادج كومبيوتينج. بدها تكون سكيلابل لانه عاده الانترنت اوف ثينجز بتكون لاعداد هائله من الثينجز، فبدها تكون سكيلابل وبده يكون في كنترول سنتر قادر تو مانج عدد ضخم من الديفايسز. هيدا مثل يوز كيس لانترنت اوف ثينجز. شركه بنذرلاند هولندا عندها باصز بحاجه انها تامن واي فاي لليوزرز للركاب اللي عندها بالباصز. فنحن وصلنا الاكسس بوينت الواي فاي بالسكيور كونكتور اللي عندنا. السكيور كونكتور اللي عندنا موصول بالانترنت، بيأمن لهم انترنت، بيأمن لهم كنترول، وبيعطيهم واي فاي للركاب داخل الباصز. This is a use case عملية وموجودة. أكثر من 500 ديفايس كانوا بالباصات. الاندستريال للمصانع، انتم بتعرفوا بالأمكنة الصناعية الديفايس بدها تكون خاصة، بدها تكون ريجيدايزد يعني تحمل حرارة وتحمل يعني ظروف ما بتكون زي ظروف المكتب أو بالشارع مثلا تحت الشمس أو هيوميديتي عالية. فكمان منأمن نفس السكيور كونكتور منأمنه صناعي للأمكنة الصناعية. هذا هيك بيكون شكله. اوكي. ف this is the typical design. devices ملاقيهم على اليسار على كونكتور. الكونكتور بيوصل على هاب، والهاب بيعطيك الاكسس على الانترنت او على الداتا سنتر. واحدة من اليوز كيسز لما انت يكون عندك حاجة ل predictive maintenance and edge computing، مثلا خلينا ناخذ مثل شركة بتعمل maintenance للريفريجريتورز بالمطاعم. ممكن تكون عم تعمل مينتنس لآلاف الريفريجريتورز. عادة كيف بتصير المينتنس؟ بتصير روتين فيزيتس، شخص بيدور على المطاعم وهي تشيكس الستيتس تبع الريفريجريتور ليشوف اذا بحاجه لمينتنس، اذا في اي قطع بحاجه لتبديل او اي شيء اخر. with Internet of Things كل ريفريجريتور بيكون عنده كونكتور، كلهم كونكتد على كنترول سنتر لهذه الشركه، وهذه الشركه ساعتها ما بتتدخل، ما بتبعت اي شخص تكنيشن الا لما يكون فعلا في حاجه انه تبعت هذا الشخص. فهذا الامر بيوفر كثير مان باور، مور افيشنت، والرد بيكون اسرع. كمان يوز كيس بالترانسبورتيشن حكينا عنها، فريزرز بجروسري ستورز. This is an example. الكونكشن ممكن قلنا واي فاي، ممكن يكون ثرو 4G، ممكن يكون ثرو DSL، ممكن يكون ثرو MPLS DIA وات ايفر، كله كونكتد على الكلاود، ومن الكلاود كونكتد لعندك على الداتا سنتر على الكنترول روم اللي عندك. بتأمن كمان الانترنت اوف ثينجز. السوليوشن تبعنا الانترنت اوف ثينجز بيأمن نتورك سيجمنتيشن. بنشوف مثلا بهيدي اليوز كيس نحن فصلنا الصناعي، يعني العده الصناعيه اوبريشن تكنولوجي عن الاي تي، صار عندك تو نتوركس completely separated internally. مثل ما حكينا باليوز كيس قلناها مثلا عن عن الفريزرز، بصير عندك تدخل اون ديماند بدل ما يكون التدخل اللي بتأمنه للصيانه دوري. الكلاود وي سبورت مثل ما حكينا المايكروسوفت ايجر، AWS وجوجل كلاود. Any questions sir؟ هل في اي سؤال؟ شكرا. Thank you. Thank you.
نشكر المهندس علي طي. الآن يتفضل الأستاذ محمد المعثم بتكريم المتحدث على المنصة. الآن سنتوقف مرة أخرى نظرا لاعتذار أحد المتحدثين. سنتوقف إلى الساعة 41 بعد ذلك نستأنف بإذن الله. سننهي المؤتمر اليوم على الساعة 3 بإذن الله. لدينا ثلاثة متحدثين، أحدهم يبدأ في 41 وبعدها إن شاء الله يتوالى المتحدثون إلى الساعة 3 عصرا بإذن الله. فالآن نتوقف وبإذن الله على أن نعاود في 41. شكرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. متحدثنا القادم الأستاذ محمد إلشال، وسيحدثنا عن موضوع مهم الآن يشارككم الحديث عنه.
السلام عليكم. أنا محمد الشال من شركة كلاود فلير. I look after sales and business development activities for Cloudflare in the Middle East. Today we'll be going through our presentation. Let's just see, that's not the right presentation. I think it's the next one. All right, so who has heard about Cloudflare before? Okay, so we got 1, 2, including myself, very good. Okay, so what we'll be talking about today, basically, I'll be going over what Cloudflare is, our vision on what Cloudflare is doing and changing on the internet today, and we'll talk about how is Cloudflare positioned to the digital transformation and the cybersecurity and the cloud architectures. So the internet is critical for every business nowadays. What was back in the days a few computers connecting some data centers or connecting some universities or connecting some government entities has become to the internet that we are all using today. Businesses using it, and it became a very critical part of our daily life. If you take a look at what you do since you wake up in the morning, you're going to work, you're going to school, you're checking your email, with all the connected and all the IoT world and what's going on the technology level, every single person or every one of us in this room is touching the internet a few times every day. And the same for the business and the same for the applications. The way the internet was designed, it was not designed to address security, performance, and reliability by default. So people had to come up with certain solutions or different approaches to tackle every vertical of those. And it's becoming the business, from a business perspective, it's the business responsibility to make sure that their users will get secured access and will get performance enhancement for their critical applications, just to meet the user expectations of what they are doing and what they are using on their digital platforms. In the meantime, people are expecting the businesses to be taking care of those things. You don't want to go to a website today and then you find that it was hacked tomorrow, or you don't want to go to a website today and you try to do a transaction and then you find out that it's slow, it's not responding because of a cybersecurity or because of any attack that happened on that website. So with the way the network is transforming now, everything is on-premise, or back in the days, everything was on-premise. The whole network layer is done by just some boxes that are being put together on the network, in the infrastructure, on the on-premise data center, for example, doing the network functionality like the VPN, the load balancers, the firewalls, the web application firewalls. We can talk about like the on-premise versus the cloud, and we can spend like a couple of days talking about it, but just in a nutshell, the technology is changing nowadays. This on-premise is moving out because of some complexity. They are expensive, total cost of ownership. Like you would need to hire someone to maintain the box for you. You are buying the hardware every few years. You have to recycle the hardware. You are updating, you're buying maintenance and so forth. So the business model for the on-premise hardware is becoming more expensive, and people are realizing that already. With what's going on the internet as well, applications are now moving from the on-premise to the cloud. Some applications are staying on-premise. Some applications are moving to multi-cloud, and some applications are moving away from your on-premise or multi-cloud in a SaaS model, for example, or some are using hybrid cloud. So what we can see is that people used to buy hardware and software to use. Now people are renting the hardware and the software to use to develop their application and put their platform on the internet for their end users or for their customers to use. And like all the reports that are out nowadays are showing that there is a big shift from the on-premise to the cloud or to the multi-cloud. The network layer, or all those boxes that we talked about or mentioned in the previous slide, are not going to move to the cloud easy because they are hardware boxes. When you go to the cloud, you are relying on a cloud computing provider to give you what you need, but those boxes from the network layer, they're not going to move to the cloud. So what is needed? The way we're looking at it is that what is needed is a global cloud platform that would provide security, performance, and reliability to different type of architectures, whether that's on-premise, multi-cloud, or hybrid cloud, or a SaaS model like what we've talked about, in an easy-to-use interface or an easy-to-use layer so that people can adapt to it and they can rely on it easily and so forth. So what is Cloudflare? Cloudflare is a global network provider providing network services on the edge of the network with a broad range of solutions and network services that we provide on our network today, working with different customers, different size of customers across the world and across the globe. Providing customers the ability to secure and enhance the performance of their critical applications to reach out to the best or to the good user experience so that people can reuse their services and be more familiar with it and use it at ease. We provide that in a very easy and a very plain and simple to use platform, fully featured and very user friendly, covering all the network layers covering all the network features, components from the security, performance, and reliability. So our mission is that we are on a mission to help building a better internet, and we are just getting started. And I'll talk more in details about that in the next few slides, that we have our network today, we'll keep building it, we'll keep adding performance to it, and so forth, and I'll talk more about what it is in the next few slides. So you can think about Cloudflare as an integrated global cloud platform providing all those services that we see here. Most of those services that you see on those screens were run before on boxes putting on top of each other or boxes running in a data center. Now we are moving all this to our platform by building an integrated and a robust, fully integrated platform, because all those solutions or all those options is features and products and solutions that we built from scratch. We are the ones who wrote the code for all those. We're not using any third party for a firewall or for a web application firewall or for a DDoS protection, for example, or on a DNS or for the caching or any of those features. So our network or our solution will always be working seamlessly with each other to make sure that we're providing the best security and performance to our customers. How does Cloudflare work? Basically, if you think about it, what we talked before is that the applications are moving from the on-premise or to the cloud, or they are staying on-premise in a multi-cloud environment. We are building network solutions within our network or inside our network. When a visitor is coming to visit your website, we will determine quickly that this is a good visitor. We will enhance the performance of this visitor to reach your website and your application. And in the meantime, we are in a very good position to say whether it's a good traffic or a bad traffic, or whether it's a bot or it's an attacker or not. So we will drop or stop all the attacks that are trying to reach your website or application on the edge of the network, and would only allow the good traffic to reach your origin server, for example. And we do that based on DNS level, because we work as a reverse proxy. And by being a reverse proxy, meaning that from the DNS lookup, the traffic will come to the Cloudflare network first. We will do the inspection, and then we will send the good traffic to your infrastructure. I kept on talking about the network. We are building our network inside the internet today. What you can see here is the world map with a lot of dots. All those dots are our existing data centers that we put in almost all the cities around the world. And in some cities, we are adding multiple data centers to be sitting as close as possible to the internet users in this particular country. For example, in the Middle East, we are the only cloud network provider or like smart edge network provider in the region with 10 local data centers in major cities, including a local data center here in Saudi Arabia. All the other GCC and the Middle East countries are covered as well. So we can serve our users, or we can serve our customers to enhance the performance for their users in the region. On our network today, we have 26 million websites or 26 million digital asset that is being protected behind our network. And that's a big number. Like we see a decent amount of traffic going on the internet today. Based on our network, we see 50 billion cyber threats every single day. And if you really look on the details on those numbers, that's a very good amount of traffic to be running on one single network. And that's one of the advantages that we have on top of the others, is that because of all the traffic that we are seeing, we are in a very good position to determine what's a good traffic and what's a bad traffic. And as I said, that we built our solution, or we built our network fully integrated together. So if you take a look at some of the basics, just the DDoS attacks. The DDoS attacks will never go away. DDoS attacks will continue to happen. They come in different magnitude and in different formats. We are very well positioned to mitigate the biggest DDoS attacks. The biggest DDoS attack that people know of was around 1.6, 1.7 terabit per second. That was a couple of years ago in the US. Our network today can handle up to 35 terabit per second DDoS attacks. So we are like more than 10 or 15 times than the biggest attack that happened, and we will keep increasing our capacity to mitigate future attacks. We share the knowledge between our products for whether it's like DDoS or a WAF or a bot mitigation. Because of the traffic that we have in the network, we have our own artificial intelligence and our own machine learning to determine whether this is good traffic or bad traffic, to make the request coming from your user to the origin server, just to pass through the different network layers or the different layers to reach all the way to the origin server, to make sure it's secured and performance-ly enhanced. So if you think about Cloudflare today, Cloudflare, we are providing a unified control plane for the network layer across multi-cloud or hybrid cloud deployments, including having the option of the on-premise. You will see here, I just listed all the names of the cloud platform providers that know of, but basically we can work with any cloud provider, whether it's a private cloud in the country or if it's a cloud running from the local ISP or something like that. We can sit in front of it to always provide the performance and the security solutions that are required for today's applications. Any questions so far? Okay, so for the people that don't know Cloudflare, what I would ask you to do, or would recommend to do, if you can go to our website just to learn about what Cloudflare is, what can we do, and if you have any questions or concerns, just feel free to send them our way, and we'll be more than happy to have discussions in the future. All right, thank you very much.
الآن مهندس فهد القرني يكرم المتحدث محمد شالي. شكرا جزيلا. الآن معنا المتحدث الأستاذ جميل أبو عاقل، فيتفضل مشكورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم. My name is Jamil Abu Aqil. I am the Technology Sales and Services Director for Symantec Broadcom in Saudi Arabia. And today we are here to talk a little bit about things that matter a lot to us, things that can be considered matters of life and death when it comes to Internet of Things, IoT, and cybersecurity. Every year, last year, we were here in the same event talking about similar topics. Well, it's good to be here again and to see all our colleagues in the industry, whether from cybersecurity or IoT, because of the importance of this topic. Today, my mission, my job, is to be a good citizen, a good parent, and to tell you how we can make a difference and how we can try to help improve lives with this technology, and I mean the IoT technology, and by protecting this IoT technology. Every year, all our world leaders gather together for something that we call the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. And they look into the threats, the risks that matter to planet Earth, to humanity. What are the things that matter most to us? And what are the things, the largest risks, the biggest risks that we have, not for IT or cybersecurity, but towards humanity? And in the last couple of years, we've been, by the way, this report or this forum happens every year in January. So this is recently, this is fairly recent. And every year we see things like, for example, disease, shortage of water, nuclear arms proliferation, weapons of mass destruction, and so on. And the leaders sit together and they define a set of short-term risks that we have to face, or the top risks that humanity has been facing in the last year and for the coming year. And you can see that on the top 5 list, we can see that cyber attacks, as per 76, as per those leaders, 67% of them think that the risk of cyber attacks is going to increase and is going to be something that is crucial for humanity, and specifically against infrastructure, cyber attacks on infrastructure. Moving on, you will see also that theft of information, theft of data, theft of money is also another massive risk that we see that is a risk that is posing for us. Those people are not, again, those people are not IT people. Those people are not from vendors coming to promote a certain solution or a certain technology. Those people are concerned about humanity. And they believe that cyber attacks against infrastructure is one of the top short-term risks that will affect humanity. Okay. Why does this matter? Why is it one of the top 5 risks? Because as per the same forum, it has been observed that 50%, 50, half of the world population is now online, is now connected. 2/3 of the people on this planet have mobile devices today. 1 million individuals join the internet every day. Every day, 1 million people, new people joining the internet. So that's why it matters. That's why cybersecurity is important. Okay, and it's not, this is the global view into cybersecurity. What about our region? Another study by our colleagues in IDC, they did a research to just measure and see, have an idea about IoT spending in this region, in the Middle East and Africa region. And it happens that the top 4 spenders in this region, number 1, South Africa, number 2, Saudi Arabia, with $3.1 billion spending forecasted for this year. $3.1 billion on IoT this year. Number 3 is Turkey, and number 4 is the UAE, with $1.4 billion. So, is it an important thing for this region? Yes, it is. And from this amount, in which the top segments where we are spending on IoT are the segments related to manufacturing, production, asset management, you know, where you will be able to track your assets, track their usage, where they are, how are they being used, and so on. Smart homes, myself, very humbly, I control my AC from my mobile at home. I can control watering the plants also on my mobile. I have cameras at home. I have power switches that are controlled by my phone. So and I'm not a very, I don't consider myself a very techie savvy person. So the adoption of smart home equipment is increasing as ever. Smart grids, or electricity smart grids, there are, I'm sure many of you have heard, there are massive projects for implementing smart meters, digital meters, that will enable you to know exactly, for example, for electricity, your consumption behaviors. It will enable the company, the power utility companies, to save a lot of money on billing or collection and so on. So it's also another big thing that we have. Remote health management, we'll talk about health management in a use case as we move on, is a very important person. I know people today whose lives are dependent on these devices. Devices that are used for alarming and for measuring certain body controls and so on, very critical stuff. Public safety and IR, one of the biggest use cases for IoT in our countries is towards public safety and IR, using those IoT devices in power stations, oil rigs, and so on, a very important use case. Now, we have so far spoken about the information that we got from the World Economic Forum. Now we showed some stuff from IDC. Allow me to show you a use case that we have as Symantec, a Broadcom, from ourselves. As a leader in the security industry, I remember 4 or 5 years ago, we've established a partnership with several auto manufacturers, and I remember meeting personally myself some people from, it's a public reference that we use, from Ford, that manufactures cars. And we are very proud to be selected as their most strategic cybersecurity vendor or cybersecurity partner. and we do protect their internal computer systems inside their cars. Now, there are certain things in the car that are a little bit fancy, not very critical. Like, for example, if they malfunction, it will be something annoying. Like, for example, windshield control, your interior lighting, like, when your kids are playing in the car, your entertainment system, and so on. Other things are critical and are, can, God forbid, can threaten lives when it comes to airbag control, when it comes to controlling the computer that controls, for example, your power steering, your suspension, and so on. And the basic idea that we do is that from our experience, we make sure that these systems are isolated and are functioning only as they should be by the authorized users and by the authorized way that they should be used. So this is just an example of a use case of what are the things that rely on IoTs that we use, some of us use in our everyday life. An example from the automotive industry. Another example from the medical care sector, where today IoT devices are used to control insulin levels. They are used to monitor your heartbeat. I would hate that if somebody, for example, would do a CT scan, and if an IoT device is not set right, then, for example, maybe a bad decision will be made by a surgeon to do something someplace that it shouldn't be done. I know people I know them personally, as I mentioned before, whose lives is actually, to a certain extent, very dependent on this. It is now widely adopted in some areas in the world where you have this, you dress this necklace with an alarm button, where, especially for people with heart disease, where in case, God forbid, you have a problem with your medicine or you have a problem with the device, all you have to do is press the button and 911 will come. Your emergency service will come. This is also connected to your primary caretaker and your secondary caretakers for second opinion and so on. A very important use case that we have. Okay. From all this IoT story, from the semantic annual Internet Security Threat Report, we were able to see that the main target for all these attacks on IoT was mainly router devices and connected cameras. Hackers, attackers were targeting these two platforms heavily as a target, and they were exploiting them as well to target other devices because of weak or poor security controls. So not only were routers and connected cameras victims of those attacks, they were also used to target and to attack other devices like them. The number of attacks only for connected cameras, the number of attacks that were targeting connected cameras quadrupled, multiplied 4 times since 2017, in the last 3 years. This is a very big number. Now, with technologies like 5G, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, those technologies have given us massive opportunities to do things that we were not able to do before, but in the same time, those technologies introduced risks of their own and became, added other vectors of attack, especially for the IoT domain. Most of the attacks that we've seen on IoT devices as semantic, to give you the complete list, where the number one devices performing IoT attacks, as I mentioned, were routers. Number two comes connected cameras, multimedia devices, small firewalls, PBXs, network attached storage devices, and so on. Now, the sad thing is that every year we speak about IoT or IoT security, and the problem is that every year the problem becomes bigger because we have more adoption of IoT and we're still not fixing our old problems. Because the top protocols that are being attacked, we are still using insecure protocols like Telnet, like HTTP. Even secure protocols like HTTPS are being also targeted and are being exploited for these attacks. Another sad thing is that we are still using default credentials to access those devices. So I buy a small camera, a small router, the password is root or admin, enable, whatever, and the password is still 1 to 6, at least 1 to 6, at least you put a password. 17% of users of these devices leave a blank password, no password. So the username is admin, you press enter, no password, you get in. And so on. 1 to 6, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, password, enable, and so on. Very weak passwords. Now, what do we do about this? Without going too much into technical details, for us to stay safe, the most important thing for us to do is to have the visibility. You cannot protect what you do not see. An unmanaged device is unmanaged risks. We don't leave anyone behind. If you have, when you buy something, if we're talking about corporates, we should have a mechanism, we should have a means to manage our devices, to control, for us to be able to see them and control them. If I'm buying a device at home, I should know where the device is, check how it is managed, how it is configured, and so on. Second thing is to apply the principle of least privileges. So we all buy software, we all get software, we all buy devices, new things. Please read the manuals for these devices. Please understand what this device is doing. If you do not need a particular feature, don't enable it. If you are not using a particular feature, don't enable it. If you do not understand a particular feature, don't enable it. And for me, when I travel, for example, for a long vacation, I make sure before I travel that I close all the water valves in my home before I leave. I also make sure that I switch off the internet router at my home before I leave in the same way, because I don't want somebody to use, for example, my internet for something that is not right. That is something that could do damage to me. Whatever you're not, least privilege, whatever you are not using, disable or shut it down or switch it off. Privacy and security settings, modify them to your need. Make sure that, for example, whenever you buy a device, there are some easy things to configure. Apply a password, apply encryption. When you're setting up your Wi-Fi at home, make sure that you are using proper authentication, and so on. you will find that all these new devices have all these kinds of new security features that are just there for you to configure and use. Make sure you use them. You're paying for them. Strong authentication and authorization. Make sure that you use right passwords. No need to keep blank passwords or passwords 1 to 6 and so on. Make sure that, for example, some people complain, especially today, about certain things about cloud usage. Nothing usually goes to any kind of cloud without your consent, without you clicking I agree, I accept, or so on. Make sure that you give that tool the right authorization as needed. Please read and understand the capabilities of your product. Make sure that, I remember one time I bought a specific product, an IoT device, and after I bought it, I discovered that it interferes with another device at my house because I did not read properly, no need for the details, but I did not read properly the capabilities of my product. This is something important. Ensure that whatever device that you are depending on, I mentioned watering plants. I have a device, for example, when I go on vacation, when I leave home, I have a device that makes sure that the plants in my garden get the right amount of water. And one time, when I did something wrong, we learned from our mistakes and each other's mistakes. I did something wrong, and I discovered that when that device battery failed, water was open for a long time in my backyard. So make sure that these devices are configured in the right way, where their failure doesn't result in a bigger problem. Last but not least, patching. I did not want to go too technical, but I wanted to put something about the statistics of attacks. A very high percentage of attacks that target those IoT devices were exploiting legacy operating systems for these devices or unpatched devices that haven't been updated for a long time. Always please make sure that you visit your manufacturer's website to make sure that your device is updated, it has the latest features or options for you to be secure and for you to have even better options with the device. With that, very happy to answer any questions, queries that you guys may have. Any questions, any queries, objections? Anybody using IoT devices? Yeah. If you have any further questions or queries, please visit the Semantic booth, Semantic Broadcom booth. We're here very happy to answer your questions, and we're out there. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
الآن يقوم الأستاذ المهندس فهد القرني بتسليم هدية تذكارية بهذه المناسبة للأستاذ جميل. شكرا على هذا العرض. متحدثنا الأخير هذا المساء هو الأستاذ فادي شرف، وسيحدثنا عن موضوع بيتعلق كذلك بعنوان المؤتمر.
big audience. Yeah, very big audience. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I would like to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend this lovely Saudi IoT/Cyber Defense Summit. Now, due to time constraints, I only have 20 minutes. So I'm going to be a little bit faster than my usual. So kindly bear with me and trust me, it will all make sense by end of the presentation. Now, over the course of 20 minutes, I'll be talking about Link Shadow, cybersecurity analytics platform, and how it relates to the challenges that are faced by the customers throughout their digital transformation journey. Now, the funny part is they didn't give me a clicker. Thank you. No, that's not. Okay. So I like to familiarize myself with a quote every now and then that I'm sure most of you already know. It's no longer a question of whether you're going to be attacked or not. It's simply a matter of when, right? For instance, web challenges still considered to be number one when it comes to attacks. It has been said that 1 out of 13 web requests leads to a possible malware. Another example, emails, weapons of choice. Who doesn't receive daily spam or phishing emails? I know it's not me, I receive a lot. Anyways, another interesting topic as well is the IoT. We have seen a drastic change and increase when it comes to the IoT-related attacks. To be specific, 600% increase over the course of 12 to 18 months. Now, if you take a look at the state of incident response landscape, what you will see is crowd research partners, they have conducted a survey among different bunch of customers where 70% of them, they said that they were unable to detect advanced threats, while 59 said that they lack expert security staff to assist with threat mitigation. Now, it could be due to lack of expertise or lack of resources. Now, at the bottom as well, what you could see is significant majority of them are saying that they are trying to detect rogue insiders, but they're having difficulties to do so. That the response time to find or detect these threats is a challenge on its own. So let's all agree on one thing. Challenges, they are there. And it will always be there. Especially with the new challenges addressing the new landscape, IoT, OT, machine-to-machine communication as well. So what is next? You should be looking for a solution that should give you the power and capability that allows you to overcome these challenges. You should have the capability to hunt, be the hunter, and instead of becoming the prey. Before an attack takes place, it needs to be identified, analyzed, and most of all, eliminated. Such act requires 24/7 continuous search and analysis using advanced algorithm. Because by the end of the day, for advanced threats, you need advanced protection. Due to the sheer number of technologies and complexity of these tools and technologies, investigation into breaches, it became inadequate, inefficient, and it became impossible for humans to try to detect or find anomalies that are hiding within your organization. Because by the end of the day, I'm going to quote this guy right here. If you don't know what you're looking for, then how will you be able to find it? Yes? Now, from a C-level management perspective, you should have full-fledged visibility, end-to-end visibility over every single network security infrastructure in order to assess your risk posture, your ROI, in order to be able to come up with a plan, your business continuity plan as well. Now, with no further ado, allow me to show you a quick introductory video over Link Shadow, threat hunting powered by machine learning. Give it a minute.
Link Shadow's cybersecurity analytics platform designed to manage threats in real time by using artificial intelligence-based machine learning to analyze events, perform UEBA, hunts for threats using cutting-edge threat hunting technologies, and provide threat anticipation. Link Shadow provides unparalleled detection of the most sophisticated threats, which enhances organizations' defense against advanced cyber attacks, zero-day malware, and ransomware. The chance of an attacker passing through your network is virtually non-existent. Link Shadow is meant for organizations like yours that are looking to upgrade their defenses while simultaneously gaining rapid insights into the effectiveness of their existing security investments, thus lowering risk and reducing attack surface. Built on the mission to help you tighten your organization's defense, Link Shadow offers a host of technologically advanced features which detects even the most sophisticated threats. CXO visibility. Take a glance on real-time compilation of overall security status of the entire network. Get a performance-based quantitative analysis of your security investments. Identify and monitor key security metrics that matter, and enhances CISO decision-making capabilities with a single pane of glass view. Your key security metrics in the blink of an eye. Security synopsis. Prioritize and respond to incidents effectively using graphical positioning of threats. Make informed decisions based on whether there's a compromised node or an insider threat scenario with a geographical representation and topological view on traffics and attacks. Threat hunting. Equip your cybersecurity with best-in-class threat hunting capabilities empowered by heavy and extensive machine learning algorithms to detect most sophisticated cyber attacks, and visually present the cyber kill chain to understand and combat ransomware, security breaches, and advanced persistent attacks, APTs. Behavioral analytics. Defend your network against intruders and malicious insiders. Track unusual activities by users or on entities. Monitor unusual traffic and suspicious connection. Discover and categorize all entities automatically in the network and get visual trend analytics on user and entity behavior to pinpoint high-risk insiders. Block count ratio. Validate the effectiveness of existing security solutions and their ROI. Management dashboard. Overview of organization security posture, providing high-level security KPIs and KRIs to CXO. Live Shadow. Compilation of all critical security findings in real time. Traffic Sense Visualizer. Geointelligence based on topological view helps you monitor suspicious inbound-outbound traffic. Attack Space Viewer. Global view of latest attacks on the organization based on prevalent threat vectors. Threat Score Quadrant. Learn, score, and prioritize the assets and users for action based on risk score. User Investigator. User behavior preventing insider attacks, privileged account compromise, and more. Entity Inspector. Asset details, network connections, ports and protocols in play, and related anomalies. Shadow 360. In-depth view of all activities before and after anomaly. Identity Intelligence. Visual trend analytics on user behavior, including authentication patterns, application usages habits. Asset Auto Discovery. Automatically discover and track assets across the entire network and monitor the activity trends. Threat Shadow. Detect anomalies through advanced machine learning algorithms applied on enriched network and user data.
Okay, so I hope the video was informative and you got the message of the solution overall. So from an architecture point of view, how Link Shadow will operate and how it will work is, Link Shadow will start collect your data from your network traffic, from your network, from core switch, for example. It will collect your application data and your user data from your authentication servers, like Active Directory, LDAP service, and so on. Now, Link Shadow will start aggregate each and every event for its corresponding user, assets, in order to build a profile for each and every user, each and every asset at your network. So you will be able to see it similar to the social media. So surfing Link Shadow will be similar to surfing one of the social media, where you have the home page and the profile for your employees, for example, for your users in the network, as well as each asset from mobile, from server, from computer, for example, workstation, and so on. So this will help you significantly when it comes to the visibility point of view. Now, what Link Shadow will do is it will empower the learning with the machine learning algorithms. So the machine can learn on the behavior for the users and the behavior for the assets. And it will sit, for example, for like 2 weeks, learning on this behavior in order to build a baseline that will tell what is normal for this user to do and what is normal for that asset. So we'll be able to tell after the learning period, is this user supposed to work at this time, accessing this machine, opening this folder, for example, or copying that file? Similar to the asset, if this asset normally have a connection at this time or have this application installed on that server, and so on. So we'll be able to tell that when we empower our findings with the machine learning algorithm and start to analyze it against the use cases that we have. And our use cases are 100% mapped with the MITRE ATT&CK framework in order to give you the techniques, the tactics, and the procedures for the incidents and the attacks that you are having. So you'll be able to find the framework to refer to in order to find the description and the mitigation and recommendation for that incident and attack. We'll also empower your findings with threat feeds anomalies from various sources, like, for example, recorded future, as well as any threat feeds that you have already invested and you trust, in order to empower this investment with the threat feeds that you are already using. Moreover, we'll prioritize these incidents and attacks, so we'll be able to tell which one is more important to start with. So you won't waste your time investigating false positives, for example, from the SIM solutions, or, for example, analyzing a single simple human error and leaving a malware hiding in the background. Link Shadow will also communicate with the SIM solution bidirectionally, so we'll be able to take and pull the alerts from the SIM, fine-tune it, and plot it where it can relate better. So, for example, the noisy SIM alerts will be filtered out, and you'll only get the results that matters. And finally, we'll start the investigation where Link Shadow will give you dashboard for each and every resource in your network. So the SOC team will have a dashboard for their service. The management will have the management dashboard, as we saw in the dashboard in the video, previously. So this is Link Shadow from an architectural perspective. Now, why do you need Link Shadow as a solution or as a company? So, like you saw on the dashboard, Link Shadow is very user-friendly and easy to use and navigate solution. So anybody can use it. It's very user-friendly. And the only deployment requirement for Link Shadow is a spam port and Active Directory connection or authentication service connection. So it's a rapid deployment. Actually, it's a plug-and-play deployment, not only rapid deployment, in addition to the bidirectional SIM integration. Also, Link Shadow is purely agentless, clientless solution, and it's scalable that it can connect to a small organization, for example, and it can scale up to more than 40 gig for one appliance. Link Shadow, as a US-based company, has a presence and dedication in the GCC, where we have an R&D team based in Dubai to serve our local customers in Saudi, in UAE, and the GCC countries. And you barely find this in other vendors where you have 24/7 R&D support and a customization service. And most importantly, Link Shadow is not a cloud solution, even though we have cloud collectors, but we are an on-premise solution that use advanced machine learning algorithms to learn on the behavior of your network and to provide high-end visibility and findings. Now, when it comes to the recognitions and award that Link Shadow got, we have multiple, as you can see, like for example, the cybersecurity breakthrough for 2019. Oh, you can't see it actually. It's the user behavior analytics security solution provider for the year. We have also been announced as the most innovative threat hunting solution for 2019. As for 2020, by cybersecurity consultation, we have also been announced as the winner of Excellence Award for Threat Hunting Solution, as well as the most innovative cyber cutting edge user behavior analytics by the Cyber Magazine. We've also been mentioned in the CISO magazine, as well as the IDC and Frost and Sullivan white papers. And that's it for Link Shadow. We actually eager you and to visit us at our booth at P4, if I'm not mistaken, so you can have better insight about Link Shadow and have a live demo. Fadi, you want to add anything?
Exactly. It's in our stand. It's with Starlink, our master exclusive distributor in the region. We will be running a full-fledged live demo to show you the latest cutting-edge features, functionalities, live and in action. And I believe we have a question over here.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and especially the last slide that you are getting a lot of awards from recognized organizations. So I have a very specific question actually. We know that from the statistics that the damages from the cyber attacks is almost reached $6 trillion, excluding human casualties. And one of your colleagues in another company, for a friend, he just made the presentation, and one of the damages in one of the IIoT in the industrial that cost 1.5 billion, and it takes 2 years to recover it back and some casualties. So I ask a specific question, especially there is a lack of specialties, or almost they consider as 2.5 million specialized in cybersecurity functions. If I want to use your cutting edge techniques and I want to put it for an organization, and if there is a damage happen, and I'm sure there is no 100% cybersecurity protection. I'm sure about that. And we will not reach 100%, even after 1 century. So from the insurance point of view, did you already made an agreement with insurance companies that if I use your product to protect my organization, especially if I have very precious assets, especially in the industry inside, or even in the healthcare, intensive care unit, or something like that, and there is a cyber attack, and I install your technology, and there is a damages. So is an insurance company is covering this? Is this now in the market so far, or doesn't exist? No insurance company is covering a cyber attack. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So this is a very good question actually, and it actually opens the door for a huge discussion when it comes to the cost of breach. So your question actually cannot be answered by a single yes or no answer. However, what we can promise is we have an SLA, for example, service level agreement, that if you have an issue, we can solve it at a certain time. Of course, this is a scope of work that has to be set in prior of any implementation. We need to study your environment, your valuable assets, your critical assets, critical users as well. Of course, you have multiple. Now, based on that, we need to build a scope of work and put an SLA for the response for any incidents and attack that might happen. Now, if you want to onboard any insurance company, I believe that there is no insurance company that will take this risk and go and say that I will cover the cost of your breach. Because, for example, if we are talking about a bank that has been breached, what is the cost for the breach? Is it the price of the asset that has been damaged? This is one thing. Is it the price of the file that might be there? Another thing. Is it the reputation of the bank? The reputation will be damaged. Some of the, clients for the bank, for example, if I have a credit card from that bank, I will drop it. So the cost of breach is something that can never be, let's say, contained in a simple equation. So I believe that the insurance companies might not be yet ready to onboard on this area. However, the cybersecurity companies are offering SLAs to investigate and to penalties, actually, having penalties if they fail to protect you. So make sure if you are dealing with a cybersecurity company, to deal with a reputable company that actually has an SLA that can fulfill and that has, for example, a penalty set that can actually fulfill as well. So if you say that if I have been damaged in the area that you are protected, because of course there's no single cybersecurity solution framework that covers everything. So there's something that will look at the users, another thing that will look at the asset, another thing that will look at the vulnerability on that asset. So it's a teamwork from people, procedures, and from the technology as well. With that being said, you need to select the set or suite of solutions that will fulfill the requirements, as well as being able to take the penalties if they have failed to protect you. Did I answer your question, or am I near to that answer?
I mean, you have your technology products, and you are selling it based on your reputation. And any customer, let's say a potential customer, let's say if Aramco comes to you, or Ministry of Defense, or Ministry of Health, I'm talking about the giants. So how they become sure that your product is protecting their assets and operations, since you are not giving them any 100% insurance. So this is the main issue. It's either for the private sector or the public sector.
Yeah, correct. I see your concern here. The thing is, we do give what we offer. So for example, if we offer you a solution, what we provide is, we provide a POC, proof of concept, or proof of value for our solution. So you can test this solution. You can see it at another environment, but this is not enough because one environment is different than the other. But what I provide is, I will place my solution and I will deploy it fully at your premise, free of charge, for 1, 2, 3 months, however, or whatever makes you satisfied, just to make sure that it operates just the way you want, and it protects you to the level that you aim. Based on that, based on the proof of concept that you have tested, based on that, then you will say that I will proceed with Link Shadow, vendor X, for example, or I will drop it. So that POC is very important in order to provide the insurance for the effectiveness for the solution, let's say. Well, when it comes to the insurance companies, and when we are talking about money, I'm pretty sure that I haven't heard about this before, unless anybody knows about it, so can correct me.
Even the insurance company itself.
Yeah.
Let's go for the biggest insurance company, Munich Re or Lloyd's or something. Yeah. They have all their operations, and they want to protect themselves from the cyber attacks. And they cannot insure themselves, and who can insure them? So this is the idea. They can be, they can be shut down if they have a cyber weapon unknown or something. They themselves, nobody can cover them.
Correct. So there is no 100% protection, but there is no 100% guarantee or insurance that nobody will be attacked. It's a matter, as Fadi said, it's not a matter of will I be attacked or not. It's a matter of when. So we will be attacked, but the thing is we need to be ready. So by being ready is we need to be proactive. So that's why actually we are talking about threat hunting today. So I don't want to wait for the security tool to give me an alert and to say that you have a malware. Because if I have an alert that there is a malware, that means that the malware have been there like for 3, 6 months, maybe 1 year or more in my environment. So that's why we need to hunt for these environments. And there are a lot of activities that can be done, like, for example, red teaming, for example, penetration testing, just to guarantee that I am covered and I am up to certain limit immune to some of the attacks that will be happening. However, every day there's an incident or new attack taking place in the cyberspace. So that's why also we need to study the behavior of the machine and make sure that there's no zero-day attack in place. So when it comes to financial, this is a whole different topic that I'm sure that I don't have enough experience to discuss. As we said, there's no study today that shows the cost of breach as money. So we can actually take this discussion and see how deep we can go with it. We can sit later on. Actually, I'm enjoying this, but just to make sure that nobody else has another question. Yes?
Regarding your solution right now, as
Yes.
I understand, I have big major question. What is the difference between your product and the SIM solution? As I understand from the from the technology right now for the SIM, they have modules for the behavior and something like that. They can do whatever you can do it, as I understand from them.
Correct.
So I think you have question for this part. What is the advantage to go with the link shadow comparing with the other logarithm?
Good question. Thank you, Ala. Now, there's multiple answers for this question. Number one is, the SIM solution is more of an appliance that collects logs, network flows, and correlate it in order to give you building blocks and rules and detections based on that building block and rules. But can you give me one rule in the SIM solution that will tell you that there's an unusual behavior from a single user perspective? Well, of course not, because you need to build a rule for each and every user in the network. This is one thing. Another thing is, when you look at the behavior for the traffic, the SIM solution can study or can learn the behavior for the whole traffic and tell you that there is an application that is new for this network, but not for this particular asset. So your computer, for example, has no FTP protocol whatsoever, and suddenly there is an FTP from Ala's PC, so you will be able to be alerted on your asset. That's why we said that we have profiling for each and every asset. This is one thing. Another thing is, the SIM solution is a static-based solution, so you need to build a rule and to find something based on that rule. So Fari just said that if you don't know what you are looking for, so how will you find it? What is the rule that you will build in the SIM to find something that you don't even know? So even if you know something, you will set a timer and lifespan, for example, for something. So there are some particular things that will not be variables, that will be static. For example, a timer for 5 minutes, 5 number of users. For example, a scan, 50 IPs. So you are putting variables that are having numbers, actual numbers in place. However, when you onboard machine learning, it learns on the patterns of the traffic. It learns on the traffic itself. It learns on the behavior for each and every user. Then it will not rely on a rule. However, it will rely on pattern. Now, the machine learning is a very wide space that have supervised, unsupervised machine learning, reinforcement learning, deep learning, linear reduction and regression, and so on. So you have a wide space here that you'll not be able to compete with static rules. When it comes to the module of the user entity behavior analysis in the SIM solution, it should cover some part of what Link Shadow offers. However, what you will tell your management when there's an attack in place, how you will deliver this message to the management. Well, what Link Shadow will offer here is the management dashboards, and I can show you the management dashboard at our booth, where it translates the effectiveness of the security devices, the risk of the attack that you are experiencing, the impact of the attack, how many assets were involved in that attack. So you can translate the technicalities into business language and sent it to the CIO who might not be very security oriented, for example, or sorry, for the CEO who might not be security oriented. So he wants a business language and business measures, and this is what we are providing with the management dashboards of Link Shadow. I hope I answered your question. Thank you, Alam. Fadi wants to add something?
Don't get us wrong. We don't compete with the SIM solution. We complement the way it works. And that's why out of the box, we have complete end-to-end integration with all the SIM solutions that are out there in the market. Splunk, Logarithm, Micro Focus, ArcSight, McAfee Nitro, you name it. Whatever SIM solution you have, we completely integrate with it, okay? Thank you.
شكرا جزيلا. نشكر شركة Link Shadow for this very interesting presentation. الآن يقوم سعادة المهندس فهد القرني بتكريم ممثلي شركة Link Shadow. الأستاذ شادي شرف.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. After this fascinating day, fascinating conference, they had to deal with the most important and sophisticated topics of the agenda of the whole world. And as a senior interpreter and a company that has been known for its high quality level of translation and interpretation services, and for entertainment, we cannot actually, get out of this room without doing something that will remain in the mind until next year, even the years to come. I'm going to conclude the third day of this international conference with the Royal Anthem. And of course, when you ask me about the instrument, you'll see just straight ahead and right now. The Royal Anthem of Saudi Arabia is the final part. Yes. Could you stand up, guys? Yeah. Thanks very much.
شكرا جزيلا مرة أخرى على حضوركم وتفاعلكم. وبهذا نأتي على ختام المؤتمر والمعرض السعودي الثالث لإنترنت الأشياء، على أمل اللقاء بكم بإذن الله في العام القادم في المؤتمر والمعرض السعودي الرابع لإنترنت الأشياء. شكرا جزيلا لكم، شكرا لمحاضرينا، شكرا لحضورنا، شكرا لمن ساهم في نجاح هذا المعرض والمؤتمر. ونود أن نلفت عنايتكم إلى أن المعرض سيبقى مفتوحا حتى الساعة 8 من مساء هذا اليوم، فمن لديه الرغبة في الحضور وزيارة المعرض فليتفضل. وشكرا جزيلا مرة أخرى. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وعلى دروب الخير دائما وأبدا نلتقي.